In the year 1980, a young flamboyant GM from England called Tony Anthony Miles, played against Anatoly Karpov in a tournament held in Skara schools in Sweden. It was a European men's championship, a very serious tournament. And guess what Tony Miles played against Karpov's e4, a6. Imagine playing that against a current world champion. Tony Miles is the first English GM, and he is known for his flamboyant, risky style of play. And he chooses a6 against Anatoly Karpov. Ultimate disrespect. So, as you can see in the notes written by Anthony Miles, I watched Karpov's face as he returned to the board. There was no reaction at all. Okay. The shocking thing that there was no reaction at all. That means he was shocked, right? It's like insulting the world champion by playing this opening. Now, not only did Miles play this opening, he won this game. He won this game by playing a6. So let us see how that happened. How did Anatoly Karpov lose to 1 e4 a6? Anatoly played d4, b5, the most logical continuation, and now knight f3, bishop b7, bishop d3, knight f6, queen e2, defending the e pawn, e6, a4, striking at the pawn chain in the queen side, c5, takes, knight d2, b4, e5, knight moves, and knight e4. So Karpov chose a very fluid setup with a comfortable position. The knight is sitting on e4, more space, and pieces have come out. And he's going to castle soon. Bishop went back because it was attacked, and now castles. So nice position for white. Knight c6, bishop d2, queen c7, c4. Takes en passant, knight takes, and bishop takes. Still looks nice for white, right? The two bishops are looking good. Knight b4. Now it's not so easy to decide what to do. If you go bishop e1, you're blocking your own rooks. And this bishop is becoming very nice on the long diagonal. So Karpov decided to play bishop takes, and rook c1. Still looks nice. Yeah, the rook is sitting on a good file, more development, safe king. And now bishop e4. Here, Anthony Miles decided to castle because keeping the king in the middle for too long was risky. And here comes knight g5. This was played after half an hour of thought. What would you do here? Is there any other move that we need to consider in this position? The first thing we have to think about is this. I would probably have played it if it was my game. Karpov thought for half an hour. Half of the time would have been, or maybe at least 5 to 10 minutes, he would have spent calculating bishop takes h7. The Greek gift. Does it work? Bishop takes, king takes, knight g5. Is that winning for white? It looks winning. It looks very tempting to do this. But the problem is after king takes knight g5, if he goes back, we win with queen h5. If rook moves, we have queen f7. And if the king comes to h6, you have rook c4. And that's also winning. But the problem is king g6. And now the best we can do is play queen g4, threatening a discovered attack with the knight. But black plays f5 just in time. And when we go queen g3, black plays the calm and cool queen d4. Allowing knight takes pawn, but the black queen comes into the game. And now the best we can do is take. And after bishop takes or rook takes, doesn't matter. Let's say bishop takes, queen takes, pawn takes. And if you continue the line, you bring the rook in. Black plays bishop c6, you play e6. Black plays rook a7, not coming into the pin. So white's rooks are active, but black has got the two bishops. And white has two pawns and a rook for the two bishops. So position is fairly even over there. And now let's say king f5, forcing you to take. And after bishop into or rook into, the game goes on. Yeah. So this is an equal position. And that is why Karpov didn't go for that. So after castling, which was again a brave choice by Tony Miles, Karpov decided to go knight g5, provoking h6. And now bishop check, king moves, and bishop b1. This is the plan that Karpov made. So if you take the knight, it's going to be mate. King moves and queen h7 checkmate. So you can't take the knight. But bishop e7, nice move by Tony Miles, and now knight goes back to e4. If you play a move like queen d3, just g6 shuts everything down. So after knight e4, rook c8, he does go queen d3. So this is actually the mistake that cost him the game. It looks like a very natural move. You are preparing a discovered attack with the knight, right? And it looks like lights out if white gets to do that. And if you give up your most beautiful piece sitting on b7, then it wouldn't be good for the position. So what did Karpov miss? Why is this good for black? Tony Miles plays the absolutely best pawn in the position, takes, and he takes on b2. He's not afraid of the diagonal. He's not afraid of the play in the diagonal. He just goes for the free pawn, proving that Karpov's position is actually bad now. Now there are very few pieces left. The rook is hanging. So you can't play knight f6. It doesn't come with check. So you have to move your rook. So Karpov played rook e1, which is also a slight mistake because the better square would have been rook d1 or rook f1. Rook d1 would be better. Yeah. But the problem with rook e1 is now opponent plays queen takes e5. Tony Miles takes one more pawn, and again the knight can't move because in queen takes rook is checkmate. So this is the problem. Now Karpov just lost 2 pawns even before the discovered attack. Before the discovered attack comes into the game. So rook e1. Now if you had played rook d1, it looks nice, but black will just play a quiet move to defend the pawn. And if you go knight f6, black will just go g6. So it's still not game over for black. It's just not that crushing an attack. Black can just hold on. If you go queen e3, just king g7 and everything is intact. And e5 pawn is a little bit weak, knight is a little bit weak, and king is safe. So it was still better for black because black is upper pawn in that position and he has the 2 bishops. So the mistake was playing queen d3. This is where Karpov lost the thread to the position. So after takes, queen b2, rook e1, queen takes, it's 2 pawns up, and now Karpov takes 1 pawn back, attacking the bishop. Bishop b4, nice move, activating the bishop. So attacking both bishops it was. So one bishop moves, attacking the rook. Karpov saved the rook, and now queen d5 defending the bishop. Now the tables have turned. f5 is a big threat, and the queen is hanging. So it's almost like forced the queen exchange. So takes, and now we have a situation of 2 pawns extra for black for not any compensation. And after knight c3, rook c8, knight e2, pawn g5, h4, king g7, takes, and bishop d3. a5. So the 2 bishops are like sitting on very good squares. And compared to the 2 white pieces, they look really good. Rook g3, king f6, nice move, rook g4, bishop d6. And now Karpov activates the king, bishop e5, king e1, and now the rook comes to the h5. Pawn f4. Karpov takes extreme measures, but Tony Miles just grabs the pawn. But yeah, knight takes back, bishop c6. He's not ready to give up the bishop pair. He just moves the bishop back to safety. Knight e2. White can't do much. The bishops are controlling everything. If the rook moves, the a4 pawn falls. Rook check, king moves, and now rook h2, attacking the g2 pawn with the 2 pieces. So white has only one way to save it. Just move the pawn, right? Or play bishop e4, which will anyway lose the pawn. So g3, and now bishop f3. Rook went back, and here comes rook g2. The pawn is falling. Bishop e2 is a threat, and after bishop takes rook g3, it's a 3 pawn up endgame. The king e1 anyway, and now takes, rook takes, and rook a8, attacking the a pawn. Now, of course, bishop c7. The game was adjourned at this point, and bishop c7 was the move sealed by Tony Anthony Miles. And Karpov resigned here. He did not continue the game in the next day after the adjournment. Karpov resigned. So this is one of those rare occasions where a world champion, the current world champion at the time, got disrespected and lost the game.